I'd like to introduce you to Warren Lee. Warren's the CEO of NF Importers, the Australian Ducati importer. Right in front of us we have the new Ducati 1198. What can you tell us about the new bike, Warren?
Thanks, Chris. Well, I suppose the first thing I can say is that the 1198 is the evolution Ducati superbike from the very successful 1098. And some of the most significant changes on the bike are naturally the increase in capacity from 1098 to 1198, and that's brought with it an increase in power and torque. And other changes on the bike include naturally new colour schemes, but also new 10-spoke wheels, and some new electronics and stuff on the bike as well. And a lot of that, of course, is filtered down from our racetrack experiences and Troy Bayliss' victory on the 1098 last year in the World Superbike Championship, of course, as well. So, thanks.
Warren, can you tell us, with the new 1198, what differences are there between this bike and the 1098, the bike that it replaces? I mean, they look pretty much the same, but what are the major differences?
Okay, well, the main difference, of course, is in power. So the just in the engine alone, which is something hard to see, but the capacity naturally increases from 1098 to 1198, 10 horsepower more, and the torque is up as well. The other thing that's interesting with the engine is that it's also difficult to see, but the engine has new crankcase technology, which is a vacuum cast system, which allows the engine cases to be made a lot thinner and a lot stronger. And that takes about 2 to 3 kilos out of the engine alone, and makes the engine a little bit more compact, much more lightweight, and also more and stronger. So we've got more power, lightweight engine, and in superbike or sports bikes, of course, everything's a lot to do with the performance, and particularly that comes from the engine. The other thing that has improved is on the weight side is that now the bike has a magnesium headlight support and fairing support, and the actual headlight lamps are aluminium, which also reduces the bike by another 0.4 of a kilo as well. The other changes is the mirrors are a little bit further out now, something that's not so much performance orientated, but certainly using the bike day in day out, appreciate the fact that the mirrors are a bit wider, gives the rider a little bit more visibility. The new 10-spoke wheels, of course, compared to the previous wheel design on the 1098. Same Brembo monoblock calipers as on the 1098, and 330mm brakes, one of the best brake packages you'll see on any sports bike in the world. And in fact, it's the wet weather brake setup for MotoGP as well. So the 1098 was an amazing bike, and the 1198 just takes that a little bit further with more power and a little less weight.
Excellent. Now, Warren, the 1198S, the next model up from the standard 1198, visually, the first thing you see is the Olin suspension and the different shaped wheels. But there's a lot more to this bike, mainly in the traction control. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure, please do. There's a lot of things on the new 1198S that are very similar to the standard 1198 version. So it shares the same engine, changes from 1098 to 1198. It's a lighter engine with more power. Same thing with the headlight as well, a little bit less weight there. But there's some other significant changes on the bike. As an S model, as all Ducati S models, it comes with Olin suspension, front and rear, fully adjustable. And also the new 7-spoke GP style wheels as well. But probably the most significant thing with the massive power and torque that a lot of modern superbikes are developing, the most significant enhancement or improvement on the 1198S is the introduction of traction control, the Ducati traction control system, which is called Dtc. Now, the Ducati traction control system is developed from Ducati's World Superbike and MotoGP experience and victories, and it is an active traction control system that takes into consideration a lot of things that happen dynamically on the bike, and it will adjust the traction accordingly. Down here on the front wheel, you can see there's a front wheel speed sensor, and at the back there's also a rear wheel speed sensor. So the bike is constantly monitoring the speeds between the front and rear wheel speeds. The rider through the dashboard has the option to choose 8 different levels of traction control, 8 being the highest or most amount of intervention, through to 1, which is the most minimal, and number 1 is probably what a lot of guys use on the track. 8 is naturally something you can use on the road. The interesting thing with the traction control too is that the dashboard now, through the shift lights, also lights up to let the rider know that the traction control is intervening. So when the bike reduces the power through either reduced spark or reduced fuel, the rider's aware that the bike's doing that for him through the visualization through the dashboard. Underneath the seat here is also a module called the Dtc Control Module. That Dtc Control Module basically interprets the dynamic situation of the bike through the ECU, the engine management system, and the control system, the control level of the rider set through the dashboard, the wheel speed sensors, and basically will intervene and control the traction as the rider personalises it through his use. So it does offer the rider with sports bikes, as I say, the performance now of the bikes and power is quite massive, so it gives the rider a performance advantage, being able to manage that power better, and also if you can manage the power better, it also introduces a higher level of safety as well. So it's an amazing motorcycle. A lot of the technology coming straight from Troy Bayliss and Casey Stoner and MotoGP and World Superbike, and as Ducati does, that flows through to its production bikes for riders to enjoy and experience when they purchase their Ducati.
Excellent. Thanks, Warren. I'd just like to introduce Craig Mcmartin. Craig's 8 times Australian Pro Twins champion and an employee of NF Importers, the Australian Ducati importer. Now, Craig's sitting astride the new 1198. Craig, from a rider's point of view, what are the differences between the 1198 and the 1198S, and also both these bikes compared to the 1098 that they replace?
Well, first of all, you notice, as soon as you ride the bike, you notice a huge power and torque increase over the 1098. Like when I first rode it, even just on the road, put a few Ks on them to run them in, it was noticeable straight away. You can let it drop fairly low in the RPM range and it'll just like pull out there a bit quicker than, say, 1098. So it's extremely good in that department, in the engine department. Chassis-wise, it's very similar to a 1098, but say over the 1198 and 1198S, the traction control on the S is absolutely fantastic. You can use it on the road like all day, every day if you want to, like it's just a thing where you can, and it's not too restrictive, like you can actually, not like say the 1098R where it was, it cut the advance or the spark basically, and where on the new 1198S it cuts the fuel, so it's not as noticeable on the S when you ride it for the new 1198. So it's a lot easier to live with every day over the 1098R. So it's really good in that department. The traction control is extremely good.
So it's the best point really of the S over the previous S, or even compared to the 1098R.
Yeah, definitely. Like the new traction control system on the S is extremely good. Also, the engine is unreal. Like it's not far behind the 1098R. About 10 horsepower down. It's noticeably more than a 1098. So engine-wise, extremely good. But also the traction control is something that you can, is a huge benefit for you on the road and the racetrack.
Okay, thanks, Craig.
No worries.